Welcome to Dr. Aileen McCabe-Maucher's Inner Peace Diet Podcast. Real solutions for an authentic and peaceful life.
Hi there, welcome to the Inner Peace Diet Podcast. My name is Dr. Aileen McCabe-Maucher and I am your host. I am a licensed psychotherapist, clinical social worker, college professor, and author of the book, The Inner Peace Diet. But most importantly, I am a human being just like you, trying my best to live a healthy and peaceful lifestyle during these chaotic and uncertain times that we find ourselves living in. So the purpose of this podcast is to bring you some authentic and effective stress management and self-care tools that you can use in your own life to reduce your stress and lead a more peaceful and joyful lifestyle. So I am so excited and honored to have Natalie Ledwell as my guest today here on the Inner Peace Diet Podcast. And Aussie Natalie Ledwell is a risk taker, non-conformist, rule breaker, and maker who believes nothing is impossible. She's also an authentic and internationally renowned motivational speaker, best-selling author, law of attraction guru, host of The Inspiration Show, and co-founder of the revolutionary personal development company Mind Movies. Natalie and her incredible team at Mind Movies have empowered over 4 million people around the world to see beyond their own circumstances, to break down the boundaries, real or perceived in their lives, and to truly begin to find the lives and success they deserve. She's a founding member of the Association of Transformational Leaders, member of Transformational Leadership Council, and the Evolutionary Business Council, whose main mission is to connect individuals like her together, make a greater and meaningful impact in the world through empowering the lives of other people in their respective fields. In her 2013 best-selling book, Never in Your Wildest Dreams, she shares her own personal life struggles to inspire the readers to overcome their limiting beliefs and to step into the best version of themselves. So Natalie is currently working on her brand new groundbreaking program entitled Personal Development for Kids, a powerful children's curriculum designed to help them establish a strong foundation and success skills for the rest of her lives. So for more information about Natalie and Mind Movies, please visit my website where I'll provide you with updated links on all the exciting work that Natalie is bringing into the world. So welcome, Natalie. I'm so excited that you're here with me. Thank you again so much for your time and your interest. I'm so honored that you're here and have agreed to do this interview.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. My absolute pleasure. I mean, I think self-care is, especially if you're someone who's in an industry where you're helping a lot of other people, that, you know, it's important for our energy to be clear and for us to show up as in the best energy and best version of ourselves. Because if we're doing what to really change the world, and even if it's just changing one person that's in front of us at the time, it's important that we keep filling our cup and that we have a practice to be able to do that.
Yes, excellent. I was just enjoying some of your practices today. I'm working as a professor, so I'm coming at the end of the term, and I love teaching, and I love grading too. But when I get on like hour 4 of grading, my energy starts to woo. And so I put on some of your Mind Movies, and I was watching them, and it was so inspiring. It was so great. I love that you have the work out there and it's available for people.
Yeah, well, you just kind of hit the nail on the head. Like I'm the same. Like I'll get to a certain point, and when I feel that my brain's starting to go to mush or porridge, what do you call it? Oatmeal here. You call it oatmeal. That's when I know I have to step back. I have to change my state. I have to change my energy, my environment, whatever it is, so that I can come back and then be sharp and ready to go again.
Yes, you're always working on so many exciting things. I love seeing what you're doing. Is there anything that you'd like to share about what you're doing right now or will be doing maybe over the next couple months or so?
Yeah, so I've actually taken all of my projects off my plate except for this one that I'm focusing on right now. And I'm working with a girlfriend of mine who's a child psychologist and expressive therapist in Sydney. Her name's Debbie Selden. And she, for her first 8 years of work, worked for the UN. So they used to send her into the refugee camps in war-torn places around the world and in Africa, and she would work with the children to help them through trauma. But she knew that I had like a children's program, and she reached out to me. She goes, I really want to sit down and do a curriculum for every age. And, would you work with me on it? And I'm like, yeah. Because I had like 12 lessons created. I'm like, what comes after this? So we're doing 20 lessons from 5-year-olds all the way up to 18-year-olds. And not only is these mind movies or, a version of mind movies, in the program, but we're talking and teaching about everything from, what is beauty, and we're looking at, cultures and landscapes and different things, empathy, compassion, self-esteem, goal setting. If you're feeling certain emotions, who are the safe people that you can talk to about it, how to model that conversation. What does it mean to be a bystander? Talking all about bullying and a whole bunch of tools and skills that, even how to self-regulate through breath, meditation, yoga, all these kind of things for every age. So it's my heart project at the moment, and I'm exceptionally excited about it. And we should be ready to roll out for the beginning of the year in the US in August or July, whenever that is. So,
oh, Natalie, that is so exciting and amazing. I had goosebumps the entire time you were talking about that. I'm so glad that you're a part of that project. That is so needed in the world, and the world is ready for that right now. So I'm so glad that you're doing that.
Yeah, and I don't mean to laugh, because it's actually not funny, and it's really not acceptable. Like the level of pain and bullying and the rate of suicide, especially in the US, is not acceptable. So, it's something that I feel I can do something about. We already have 3 schools in New Zealand, 1 in Australia, already doing a pilot program. We're talking to the education system in Liberia. We've been talking to teachers here in Detroit and here in the US. So we're going to change a generation.
Yes, you absolutely are, and many generations to come, and it's so exciting. Awesome. As you're doing this work, Natalie, it's exciting work, and I hear that you're energized when you're doing it. But I also know that when you're giving birth to projects like that you so need to take care of yourself on all levels, physically, emotionally, spiritually, but whatever calls to you. I'm wondering if you could tell me a little bit about what that self-care process looks like for you.
Yeah. Well, it shows up in different ways. So I remember that, one of the things this is back in 2008, when this is where our story began for Mind Movies. And, my ex-husband and my ex-business partner, the 3 of us were over here, and we joined a marketing mastermind group. We were working 14-hour days. We were doing everything we could to launch Mind Movies to the world. And so there were days where, I'm 40 and I'm learning how to edit videos, and I'm teaching myself how to, websites and emails and all these things that were so foreign to me. And so when we'd get particularly stressed, and we knew that when we were, when you're in that lower vibration, then you can't see solutions. You can't see your way out. You can't think, and you need to change that state. So we'd leave the apartment. We go grab a coffee, go down to the dog beach in San Diego, because the dog beach, you've got happy dogs frolicking around the beach. It really made us, raise our vibration, make us feel better and feel happier. And then from that place, we would play this game where we would have this conversation in present tense about the launch already being a success. How we only had to work 6 hours a day, and we were building this incredible team, and every time we had an idea, we'd just give it to the team. They'd make it happen. We talk about taking our parents on holidays, and, the fancy restaurants we'd be eating at, and all of those things. So we were sitting in the possibility of the probability, I should say, of what the life was going to look like. So it helped us to become a vibrational match to that reality. But now, with me, obviously I love what I do, and I don't find it, to be as stressful as it used to be, and I have an amazing team. But I do find that there'll be times during the day where it's like, okay, I can't think about this anymore. I can see that I'm struggling. And so I have a list that sits up behind my computer. And I call these like my daily success rituals. So these are activities that make me feel good. That make me feel, and it could be something as easy as dropping into stepping away from the computer and having a moment of just gratitude. It could be walking my puppy out along the marina. It could be just blasting a few of my favorite songs and dancing around the house. It could actually be going for a walk on the beach. I'm not that far from the beach. You can go for a walk down there, go for a drive in the car with the roof down. So I have a whole list of things. It could be even a meditation. So I'll look at the list and go, okay, in this moment, what out of these things do I feel like doing? And go, I'm going to do that. Whether it's I've got the time for it or whatever it is, or the inclination. And so I always have a bevy of things that I can choose from that's really going to help me get into that higher vibration. So, once these lower emotions also create a lot of toxins in our body. And, obviously it's impossible to feel happy 1,000% of the time because that's not why we're here. We're these spiritual beings having a human experience, and the human experience is the contrast.
Yes.
We understand how grateful and happy we can be when we know what it feels like to feel sad or feel frustrated or helpless. So it's not or fear, none of these emotions are bad, but they're not places that we want to stay.
Yes.
And so once we feel it and we move through it, we understand where it's coming from. We're like, okay, what do I do now to move into a different vibration or a different emotion?
Yeah. Wonderful, Natalie. You've just outlined so many beautiful, workable, feasible, tangible strategies that people can actually implement to give themselves that boost and get into that higher vibration.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's part of what I do as well. I used to call it my stupid human trick. Now I just call it my gift. I have a couple, but this one is being able to look at how to replicate what I do. So I'm looking at something and I go, okay, so I did that, but how did I do that? How do I break that down into a easily duplicatable system so anyone can apply it and embody it? So yeah.
Yes, that's beautiful. That's science and research there. That's beautiful how you just described that there. And so you're working on this project and this curriculum for children that's going to be global. So I'm wondering if there's anything in particular that you wish that you had learned during your childhood in regard to self-care and stress management.
I never used to get too stressed. I used to put a lot of stress on myself. And I think I've always been, I don't really compare myself to other people. I've never been that person. But I set myself such a high personal benchmark that when I don't meet it, I get upset and stressed and disappointed. So, for me, it was always having to strive more, do more, be more, not to compete with other people, but I was competing with myself. And so what I was doing is really setting myself up for failure a lot of the time. And of course that spirals into a whole, negative self-talk that you carry through your entire life because you've created the habit of doing that from a young age that it just keeps carrying through. So I think that I would have liked to have someone have told me that, yes, you want to do your best, but then be grateful for the gains that you'd made. So I was a runner and I used to, an athlete. And, of course, most of the races I would 800 meters or cross country, longer distance. And so I would better my time, but because it wasn't the time that I set for myself, I beat myself up over it rather than looking and celebrating the actual win of doing a better time than I've done before because I didn't get the first place or I didn't, get what I actually had attained for myself. So knowing that now, it's I every day, at the end of the day, when I'm writing in my gratitude journal, I also look at what were my wins for the day. What actually went right, because the more we focus on what goes right, the more that expands. Yes. And so even the smallest of wins, I'll take it.
That's fabulous, Natalie.
But getting in the habit of always looking for the best.
Yes.
Always looking for the win, always looking for what's great, for what's going well, what's doing, rather than always focusing on how the day didn't go well or what, how we're disappointed in some kind of result. So I've had to it took me a while to really shift my mindset into that because I'd had such a a long-term habit of just looking at the bad and beating myself up over it.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And it really sounds like you've taught yourself how to change your own brain, really change your neural networks so they're primed to be looking for those positive, appreciative experiences that you're grateful for.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a lot of what we do at Mind Movies. And that's the beauty of a Mind Movie, is that you can watch this, video that you create. And, inside the video is not just the things that you want to, like the house and the car and the amazing things, but, you can also include things like, what life is like, once you've created the life that you want, and who you need to become.
Yes.
And so the more often you can do that, and then in your mind on a fairly repetitive basis, be able to see this vision of you operating from this new thought paradigm,
Yeah.
and how it affects the results and the outcomes as a result of that. And the thing is, our subconscious mind really doesn't know the difference between what we see through our eyes and what we play as a movie in our mind. So it starts to believe this is our reality, and it starts to create new neural pathways so that thoughts that are in alignment with this vision that you keep seeing then are the thoughts that come through to the conscious mind, rather than these negative ones. Those old neural pathways start to atrophy, and these new thoughts are really our default thoughts now. But of course, this takes repetition. But using a tool like a Mind Movie or a vision board really helps to make that process more fun and makes it easier for you. And especially when you add music, because you could be driving in the car and that song comes on that you watch when you're looking at a vision board or your Mind Movie, and instantly your brain starts to populate this movie in your mind, and you start to remember this future that you're creating, and you create this associated memory to the music. And so it's quite powerful in helping to really change our brain chemistry, our neural networks, so that everything is in alignment with the life that we actually do want to create.
Yes. Yeah. Awesome, Natalie. I'm thinking as you were talking, most of my career I've spent as a traditional psychotherapist, clinical social worker, and professor working with clients and students that have come to me in really high states of anxiety, depression, experiencing time poverty. And they're asking me for a quick fix or some type of magical cure that would just take all of these problems away. And I so wish that I could provide that. And as I look back at my education and CEUs and continuing education endeavors that I've done, I've always been in search for that quick fix, not only for myself, but for those that I serve. And I haven't really necessarily found one yet. I think it's really in the seeking of that and the daily practices and habits of good gratitude and using wonderful tools like your Mind Movie. I've been able to do that for myself and help the people that I work with. But all that said, could you recommend or talk about maybe a quick fix that works for you, when you start to dip down into those stressful or negative emotions?
Yeah, well, I think the number one thing is to be clear about where it is that you're heading, where you're going. I think that anxiety and fear often comes up because we don't know where we're heading. We feel helpless or frustrated. And so we've got this mountain of things coming to us, and we feel more like we're at the whim of our emotions and the events that keep showing up for us, rather than we being in a place where we can actually influence our outcomes for ourselves. And the last time I really felt like this was actually 2 years ago. And it's a long story, but I've got to cut it very short. I was approached by a university in Colombia, in Medellin in Colombia, to create the original 12 lessons curriculum for kids for them to use with the Mind Movies in some of the poorest areas of Colombia. And, I'm talking to the dean of a university and his translator. And, of course, I can't say no, because I also believe that if I'm given a task or an opportunity like this, it's for a reason.
Yes.
So I'm like, yes, I could do that. And I'm like, what do you need? And I had a 2.5-week deadline. And I remember getting off the phone and freaking out. I'm just like, why did I say yes to that? I left school when I was 15. I don't have children. I have no business doing this. Why did I say yes? And, of course, I went into a little mini meltdown. And then, of course, once I got through that, I was like, okay, Nat, you can, come on, you can do this. And I'm like, what are my steps? What do I do? And because my first thing is I sit in a meditation, because that helps to calm everything. For me, meditation calms down everything. And I go into a visualization of where I want to end up with this program. And I would see myself walking into the classroom in Colombia, the children running out. And, when I visualize, I invoke all of my senses. So I could feel the kids tugging on my clothes. Like they were really loud and they're happy and they've got the smiles on their face. And I'm talking to the teacher and the teacher is crying because of the change that they've noticed in the children. And for the first week doing that visualization, I couldn't do it and not cry, because I'm like, wow, this is important. This is important work. I got it, and of course I got through it and attracted a teacher that was specialized in early age curriculum that helped me get the lessons done, and we got that up and running. But I think that you get overwhelmed and stressed and anxious and fearful when you're like, I don't know where my target is. So once I know where my target is, when I come out of that, rather than looking at the mountain in front of me, I just look at the next step.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for walking us through that too. Exactly how you were feeling, the thoughts you were having, imagining how good it would feel. I was getting teared up as you were talking about, feeling emotional just thinking about it. And now it's happening. Yeah. So that's really exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Is there anything, Natalie, that you haven't already talked about that you think is really important for people to know in terms of self-care, managing stress?
I used to do a little thing. Well, I still do a little thing every once in a while, especially when I feel myself, like I notice with my health, if I'm getting sluggish, I've got no energy, I'm starting to put on a couple of pounds, I go, okay, I need an I Love Me week. And I actually normally do this on Facebook, so it keeps me accountable. And I go hashtag I Love Me week. And so every day I do at least 3 things that are for me, that's my self-care. And it could be anything from, having half an hour to sit down and relax and read a book, having a bubble bath with music and candles, going for a bike ride with my little puppy in the basket, making healthy food choices, even having a day that, a wine-free day, So all these different things, and then I make a note of all of these things that I'm doing to make sure that I'm caring for myself, and this is not just physically but mentally. Because, if we don't have our machine, if our meat suit isn't working as well as it should, it affects everything.
Yes.
For me, it's and it's all the little things. And then, of course, acknowledging, appreciating it. Because every time you do that, you're in this more elevated emotion. And when you're in this elevated emotion or this higher vibration, this is where you get to see the solutions to the challenges that you're facing. This is where, everything seems to be easy. Like I know that when I have a day where it's like I'm walking through concrete,
mm-hmm.
With heavy boots, it's like, okay, it's time for me to take stock.
Yes.
I know it's because I'm not looking after myself.
Yeah.
Exercise and that kind of thing. The other thing that I really, really recommend is meditation. And there's so many different kinds of meditation out there. There's free apps you can download that you can just listen to and it leads you through meditation. But the ability to unplug from the matrix and just sit in quietness, and whether it's you're being led or you're just listening to music or you're just being quiet or just having a moment to sit in contemplation about a challenge or something that you're looking at and letting your thoughts flow where they do, but doing it from a place of complete stillness.
Yes.
It's what keeps me sane.
Yes.
What really helps me to see, solutions that I can't see. So for me, meditation is a daily practice. I don't always do it at the same time of day. I don't always do the same meditation. It depends on what I'm doing. But it is a daily practice, which is really important. And the other thing, there was another thing I was just going to tell you, and it just came to me. So I do my meditation, I do that. Oh, that's the other thing. Putting too much on my plate.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And just because I'm like, I can do that, I can write a book, I could be in TV, and then I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. So I find that I'm talking about all these things and not actually doing all of these things. I'm not being true to all of them because, I am dispersing my energy. And so what I will do, like I just said, I've just got everything off my plate to concentrate on one thing at a time. And at the moment, it's a kids program. But also sitting in the acknowledgement that whatever is presenting, that whatever presents itself that day, whatever is showing up is something that needs my attention, to do that to the best of my ability, to focus 1,000% on that and not feel guilty about not working on other things or not getting other things done. Because if this is what's coming up for the day, and I'm focusing 1,000% on that, that's exactly where I'm meant to be. It's exactly what I'm meant to be doing. And you know what? And when you do that, I can't even tell you, especially when you know exactly where you're heading, how other things will start to show up for you that, doesn't actually require your effort. I'll have someone send me an email going, I've heard about your children's program. I want to help you distribute in Canada. I'm like, I'm not even thinking about that, but this is what's coming up because I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing at the time.
Yeah.
And just, and surrendering and being mindful about it. Actually, mindfulness is another really big thing because it's a moment of escape, for me. So if I'll get things done in the morning, sort out my assistant. She's got the emails and the stuff she needs to do for the day. And then before I work, if I don't have a lot of time, I'll do something like unpack the dishwasher. But I do it from a place of mindfulness. So I purposely open the door. I pick one plate out at a time. And all I'm concentrating on is what I'm doing, and putting it back into the cupboard. So I'm only focusing on the job at hand, but I'm doing it from a place of stillness and a place of being centered.
Yes.
What that does is it just evens out my energy so that when I'm ready to then go down and sit in front of the computer, I'm a blank slate. And I'm a clean slate. I'm ready to get into whatever project I have in front of me.
That's beautiful, Natalie. Beautiful. And you're just illustrating how when you have that one-pointed intention and attention like that, it's like you're focused. We used to think multitasking, or I should say I used to think multitasking was sort of the way to do it. But really when you focus, it's almost like other things take care of themselves. When you have the correct structures in place and have surrendered, as you so eloquently said.
Yeah, when you think about it, there are times, believe me, it's not like I do this every day. It's like there are times where I'm multitasking like nobody's business, because there are moments where that's needed. But this is what I notice about when I do that. I'm frantic, my energy is frantic, and I'm shallow breathing. Or I find myself holding my breath. And this is what we do when we're stressed, and I'll be grabbing things out of the dishwasher and going, and then realize I'm like, that I have to go like this because I've held my breath.
Yes.
I'm not getting oxygen through. And that's this is the contrast, right? Mm-hmm. This is what makes me realize that when I do have the time, I can do an intentional unpack the dishwasher morning. Other mornings I'm doing that while I'm cooking breakfast and feeding Bella and getting my assistant organized and all at the same time. But, as much as I can, I try and stick to mindfulness.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much, Natalie. I really appreciate your taking the time out of your busy schedule to meet with me and talk. I know that you're very busy, and I appreciate you sharing all of these very effective and loving strategies with us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Aileen, and it's always a pleasure talking to you. It's great to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you too.
Please visit www.theinnerpeacediet.com to enroll in Dr. Aileen's free online course. 3 days to a more peaceful life.